Goblins! My name is Jody and I'm the Goblin Girl. I'm a 44-year-old girl at heart who loves both geeky things as well as makeup. So I hope you come along with me and have some fun. So you're probably wondering where I've been. Well, it's not really a huge secret. I've just moved. I used to live in an apartment complex and we finally took the plunge and actually bought a house. So I'm actually really excited because this is my first video from my new house in my new office. And I hope you like the background. Some of these things are things I've done, like the paintings on this side are paintings that I've made. And then of course this is a paint by number Darth Vader because I love Darth Vader. I also have some cool, I don't know what I'm painting. I also have some cool bobblehead type things that hopefully I'll get into a little bit better of a display at some point. But yeah, this is my new office. The lighting is also different. I no longer have this giant window behind me that is very difficult to see me. Now I have much more subdued lighting, so I hope it's much better, which is another reason I kind of took a little bit of a break. And while I was on break, I actually didn't use makeup very much because it was all packed up and I was, waiting to be moved. So I really hope that you enjoy my videos again. And I wanted to start off with a brand new series to this channel, which I know the channel isn't very old, but it's still a brand new series to the channel, which is going to be me talking about all of the different eyeshadow palettes that I used in the previous month. So in this case, we're going to talk about all of the eyeshadow palettes and I'm going to rank them from the previous month. So in this one, I'm going to rank all of the videos from May and talk about all of the ones I've used. And these are everything I've used. So it's not just new palettes, but just all of the ones I've used. So some of these you're probably going to see in a lot of months, but they might be ranked differently depending on how I feel. So the first one I'm going to talk about, and you'll see a trend in this particular video. I have a few things from two different brands basically, because that's kind of what happened. I had these, they were newer when I actually was in my apartment and I brought them here and started trying them out on some of them. So the first one I want to talk about is from the BH Cosmetics Just Say It collection, and this is Looking Like a Snack. Now, one of the YouTubers that I really love to watch, her name is Nikki Raven, actually bought every one of these and ranked them. And based on that, I actually bought a couple, but I was really looking forward to having a pink and a silver palette. And when I saw this online, I thought that that's what this was going to be. Unfortunately, this shade right here is not silver. It's like a taupe, like an off-white weird color, and I don't like it. And these pinks are almost too hot pink really for me. So this is kind of on the low end of my list. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, the colors are okay. They work well. It's the same BH quality. BH has very high quality eyeshadow palettes. They always have. But this was not for me. So the next palette that I want to talk about is the Do Not Disturb palette, again from BH Cosmetics. So this is the same, again, great quality. But this one though, instead of having pinks in it, this one actually really does have an interesting color story of these purples and blues with this nice little, kind of a highlighty type color you can use in your inner corner or wherever. I personally really like these two purples. Excuse me. I personally really like these two purples. You can really just kind of put this all over lid, put this on the outer corner and blend it out a little bit. And then if you wanted to, use one of these two shinier colors for the lid. And it's just really simple, quick and easy look, really beautiful. You can do the same thing kind of with the blues. There are these two blues that you can also use, and then, a blue color, or you can mix and match. You could do one eye blue and one eye purple, just something fun. So I liked it. It just wasn't as nice as some of the other colors, the other palettes that I have in my collection. So the next palette I want to talk about is from ColourPop. ColourPop is a very inexpensive brand, and I really like their shadows. This one is more of a neutral palette, which is why it's actually not the highest in the list. But it's also a geek themed, which, part of what I do here is being a geek that loves makeup. This one is the Mandalorian palette from ColourPop. You can see it's got kind of a shiny package, which is fun. It's got a nice little mirror and then, which it actually has Grogu on it, and says, "Everywhere he goes, I go," which is kind of cute. And okay, this is pretty basic. It's got, let's see if I can get it to focus. Focus. It's pretty basic. It has some neutrals in it. It has, you know, really just some browns and a couple of silvery shades that you can put kind of on your inner corner. But the real standout shade is actually the center shade, which is a mix between brown and green. And it's this really beautiful shade that, you know, you put the browns kind of all over your lid, and you know, you use the tans kind of, I really can't talk. So, you know, you use the tans as your main colors, the tans and the brown to darken it up. But then you use that other shadow, and it really just kind of brings something out in your eyes, especially if you have, you know, especially if you happen to have hazel eyes. I think that would look really just stunning on you. So I really recommend that one. And then, yeah. So then the next palette I have is actually one that I am working on my project pan. So you'll see this inner ranking every single month. But it's not going to be in the same place every month, because sometimes I'm going to like more different colors ahead of it. Sometimes I'll like this best. And it's the Blueberry Muffin palette from BH Cosmetics. And it also has a mirror in it. Losing the plastic thing. Now, this one is really good for people who like neutrals, who also want to kind of play in some of the blues. So I will often just use some browns in here, and actually, so one of my favorite looks to do in this is actually using this gray, which is kind of a taupey gray, but it's still more gray, and then I will darken it up with like a brown, or actually one of my favorite things to do is take the gray and then put this dark blue underneath, you know, kind of on the outside of it, and then I will either go in with this Cravings, which is this beautiful dark blue with a little bit of brown, or sometimes I'll use Crumble, which actually looks exactly like the crumble on a blueberry muffin. You know, that sugary goodness that's on I love blueberry muffins. So those are kind of some of my go-to shades, and I'm trying to pan it, but this month it is number 1, 2, 3, 4 in my list. 4? Yeah, 4. So number 2 on my list is actually not a palette. It is a single shadow, and it's from ColourPop, and it is one of their Super Shock Shadows. Say Super Shock Shadows 5 times fast. I dare you. And it's in the color Kale. Yeah. Now, I don't like kale. I have zero taste for kale. I've tried it. I've tried it dried. I've tried it with garlic. I've tried it every which way you can have. You're not going to convince me to like kale. It's like cauliflower. That's another one I really don't like. Well, this color, it's like a blue sea green. It kind of reminds me of the ocean, and I love the ocean. I mean, I live in Florida. Of course I'm going to love the ocean. But it's this beautiful green, and you can see how shiny this color is. Now, normally with most of my eyeshadows, you know, I usually do between 3 and 4 eyeshadows. I'll do one that kind of goes all over a lighter shade, and then I'll do a little bit of a darker on the outside, and then sometimes I'll do 2 different shimmers. I'll do a shimmer on the outside that's a darker shimmer, and then a shimmer on the inside. I don't need that with this. I can just put this on, and it looks great. I mean, especially with, you know, blue eyes, it just makes my blue eyes pop even more, and it's a beautiful color. So the cool thing about the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows, I can't say that word. The cool thing about the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows is that they're very inexpensive. In fact, if it's your birthday month, you can actually get one of these free. And if not, you can get really good discounts. There's another one that I have that I just got that's their birthday month, their 8th birthday Super Shock Shadow too, that I haven't tried yet, but I also like the way that one looks. So, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with these ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. And finally, the last shadow set the last set of shadows that I tried in the month of May is probably one of my new favorite sets of shadows. Sets? Palettes. Why am I saying sets of shadows? Sets of shadows. That sounds horrible. Sorry. So my new favorite is from ColourPop. And again, if you can't tell, I like Star Wars. Star Wars is probably one of, and I'll tell you why. So my name is Jody, and when I was a little girl, back then, and yeah, I know I'm 44, but back when I was little, you used to record movies on VHS tapes. And my dad recorded all of the Star Wars movies. He loved Star Wars, and I honestly do too now as an adult. But when I was a kid, you know, they're just fun movies. One of them, he actually wrote Return of the Jedi, except I didn't read it as Jedi. I read the E as an O, so I said, oh, it's Return of the Jodi. And for months afterwards, they actually convinced me that my name was Jodi instead of Jody. And ever since then, honestly, I just thought it was fun. It was they're cool movies. And yeah, that was a long story. But long story short, my favorite palette is actually this one, Star Wars from ColourPop. Now, the reason I like this, it's another fairly neutral palette, which I've learned both from Google and from trying it, that brown shadows are actually really good for blue eyes. They can really bring out the blue in your eyes. And I know right now I'm not wearing any eyeshadow whatsoever. That's just because it's been a long week and I just needed a break. But, yeah, what was I saying? But brown shadows really make your eye pop, and I promise I'll show you a good brown eye tutorial. Yeah. So brown shadows really make blue eyes pop, and at some point I'll do a blue eye tutorial with brown shadows just to kind of show you some different things you can do with blue. So this palette, the top of it, instead of having a mirror, just has a really cool scene. It's actually, I believe, one of the original movie posters for Star Wars. And then wait till you see this palette. There's two really cool shades. Honestly, there's three really cool shades. They're all really cool. They're almost all really cool. Sorry, I'm gonna stop teasing you. Here's the palette. So right out of the gate, you can tell these two shadows right here are really different. This one is kind of like a red and a dark gray and a white all swirled together, kind of like a galaxy. This one is a black, a white, and a gray all swirled together. And they're beautiful looking. In fact, I did a look with this all over my lid, and it was beautiful. Some other really cool standouts. This is another brown and green, kind of like the one from The Mandalorian. And this one is a different brown and green that's kind of more sparkly. I almost think it's a brown and a gold the more I look at it. But it's a really cool shade. But you also have, this really, really deep, dark blue-green color. You have this really shiny, metallic-y blue. You have a nice red that's kind of very reminiscent of Vader himself. So yeah, this is such a great palette. And it works really well. It's very easy to blend. It's very easy to layer. The shimmers are all beautiful. These two colors that I was talking about, they just go on your eyes really well. I love this palette. So I definitely highly recommend this palette. I think it might be it's considered a pressed powder palette instead of an eyeshadow palette. It's just because the pigments technically, according to at least the US, aren't safe for eye use. I use them on my eyes. And I don't particularly have a reaction, but you could have a reaction, so be careful. Anytime you see pressed pigment or pressed powder palettes, you want to kind of just be aware of that, because sometimes the pigment is intense enough that it could stain your eyes, or you could have some kind of allergic reaction. I don't personally, but we're all different people. So with that being said, this was my first what palettes I used in the month of whatever. This particular month was May, which was, a great month for eyeshadow for me at least. I hope that you enjoy this series. I hope you watch, I'll link Samantha March's videos, her playlist for these. And I hope you, keep watching, and I hope that, yeah. So I hope you like this kind of video. I'm going to try doing more of these types of styles videos. I'm going to try to start doing weekly, you know, what's new in makeup videos, so you can kind of understand what's going on, maybe some different ideas, just to kind of start this journey again with you. So with that said, if you'd like to, you know, leave a comment, please like this video. You can subscribe to me here, subscribe to me on Instagram. I'm Goblin Girl Beauty. And of course, I am Jody and I'm the Goblin Girl. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Thank you and have a great night. Bye!